about to commandeer this interview to hit y'all with a PSA. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
PSA.
Chat, for years, people have said I am anti-drinking water, anti-hydration.
I'm anti leaving in the middle of a stream. That's what it is. Make Dom
I don't want to
hydrate.
get up to pee.
Yeah, chair. Make Dom hydrate is a synonym for live chair react. Do you know
Live
why?
chair
Because when I
react.
go to the bathroom, you're looking at my chair. Is that the content?
Is that what you want to see?
No, I'm done. Daisy, let's do an interview.
Okay. Excellent.
Oh no! Queer folklorist, help me.
Oh my! The queer folklorist wants to. We have these like free points that you can get.
I'm done.
Lisa, does this feel like you're at home with the kids? I hope
No
so.
more
Is this
water.
what fart Laura's
Bring my kids in
behavior?
and we can
No more
perform
water.
too. There's a lot.
I'm gonna go back to looking at
This
raccoons.
next door.
Fart Laura's type behavior. In the chat, queer folklore says I have 46,000 wisdom points and I'm about to redeem them all on Make Dom Hydrate. Oh no, you got one at
Okay,
least.
I gotta
That's
go
something-
refill my water bottle because you like to see live chair react to me to leave the show. Do you know the sleuths write the question? It's not just Daisy. Bye.
That's what Dom was going to do for the intro, but so we have in our chat, if you don't know what wisdom points are, people like queer folklore is just redeemed to go make Dom have the chair stream. Basically, if you participate in chat and you kind of wait and you hang out, the longer you engage in the stream, you get like free points, and then you can redeem them for making us do stuff. Or you can get like emoticons or emojis, emotes you can use from our channel specifically and mess with them in the chat. So that's what people are doing when we say make Dom hydrate. And I think it's funny. We also have posture check, because sometimes we end up gaming like this. Yes, we posture check sometimes. And I would recommend that everybody save those points for Wisdom of the Book, which will be a stream that's coming up later this month for it'll be highly related. So anyway. But as Dom said, Lisa, people in chat, if you didn't know, it's not just Daisy and Dom that do this show. There's a whole team of people behind us that we affectionately call our sleuthing team, and they help us every week. We have a guest, come up with questions, do some research on our guests, find out things that are funny, interesting, smart, whatever about them on the internet, and then we curate the questions together, and then that results in the interview that we have on the show, in which you often see Daisy or Dom sometimes. So if you like what you hear, if you think one of the questions is good, don't thank Daisy and Dom, thank the sleuthing team, and you have the emote right on cue. Amazing.
Wait, did someone redeem Wisdom of the Book?
Yes.
We're doing that at
I
the
said
end of the interview.
save it for next end of the interview. We'll do Wisdom of the
Save it
Book.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was like, save it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sleuths. They are amazing. And without further ado, Lisa Gilman, are you ready for your first question? maybe.
Who knows?
Okay. All right. We'll start with a kind of a big picture question. How can folklorists be chameleons, and what can we do to embrace our chameleon ways?
Well, I think many of us are naturally chameleons and are drawn to the field because we are chameleons. And we are people who are interested in many different things, and sometimes not people who want to focus on only one thing forever. And as chameleons, we can move into different spaces and adapt and fit in, and then move into another space and adapt and fit in terms of kind of professional spaces or research spaces or disciplinary spaces or different kind of jobs. So I think I was attracted to folklore because I am a chameleon. I don't think I ever put it in that way before, but I use it like, but I think chameleon is spot on.
Yeah. What's like, I guess, like, can you think of another example of like materially like two different subjects that you might be able to both explore?
Yeah,
as a
what's your most
folklorist?
chameleon take?
Like, what's your personal like most chameleon take? Like, what's two things that if you read about it, you're like, I don't know, and then together you're like, well, if I'm a chameleon, I'm shapeshifting. Makes more sense.
Well, I mean, I think I mean, there's kind of the obvious like folklore and anthropology or folklore and ethnomusicology, but I think in my work it's like folklore and political science or
Mm-hmm.
folklore and psychology or folklore and sociology. And I mean, I like to. I don't really like all the boundaries, so I think they have their usefulness. But I think as I move into different spaces, I have to think like, okay, doing similar work and thinking about similar things, but I'm now hanging out with political scientists. So what am I going to emphasize about my work versus now I'm with sociologists or now I'm with ethnomusicologists?
Yeah, it's sort of like a way to think about the world that fits into other, I don't know, tapestries you can like morph into rather than I could see that. That makes sense. Cool. I have another question for you. If you're ready for it. Why is creative expressive culture important for understanding power dynamics and working within or alongside institutional structures?
Oh my
It's a big
goodness. You
one.
want me to give you to write a book right here?
Yeah,
We can
a
write
little
a short
bit.
book, a short book, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Wisdom from the book. Chat wanted it.
you
People,
took
people,
my
people in
if you
chat are saying
happen to
yes.
have taken my intro to folklore class, Daisy,
Daisy
then
might have.
I might have. Dom didn't. This is for Dom.
it's usually the last day of class. This is the topic. Um Yeah, I mean, I think that okay, how do I do this in short form? I think folklorists are very good at understanding or analyzing human dynamics as they relate to power and understanding both how this is like my a whole semester question, but like like look at
Yeah,
how
it's like an example.
power
Yeah,
manifests. And for those of you who haven't taken a class on power and authority, like there's a difference between power and authority. So authority is like the institutional structures and the kind of the roles and the positions where power is supposed to be. Like it's supposed to be that the teacher has more power than the students, or the dean has more power over the professors, or whatever the case might be. Whereas in truth, power is manifests in much more complicated ways, and there's a lot of unofficial power, informal power. Folklorists are very good at understanding how that informal and unofficial stuff happens in relationship to the authoritative ones.
mm-hmm.
So I think when what's interesting is, I mean, we can study and we can, do analyses in our own research about this kind of thing if we're academically and research oriented. If we're working within institutions, we can also kind of, analyze what's going on within the institutions in which we work if we're thinking about it from a folkloric perspective. So you can kind of say things like, huh, why is it that every time I ask the administrator to do something for me, they seem to never quite do it. They maybe months go by and I haven't gotten my travel reimbursement. As a folklorist, you can kind of step by and think about that and be like, huh, I wonder how that person feels in this work environment. I wonder how they're being treated. This is the power that they have. They're not processing the paperwork. They're exerting power, even though the authoritative structure says that they have to do the paperwork. And so that's just kind of a small example where a folklore, like having kind of understanding that can help you understand something that's happening in an institutional setting. I don't know if that's what you were getting at, and I could talk a long time about this topic.
That's totally what we were getting at, and it also
Yeah,
keep
you
talking
can
about
keep
this.
talking
This
about the
is great.
topic though.
I can
That,
tell you the example that I always give my students.
perfect. Yeah, give us an example.
Like
Yeah.
they're thinking about like that authority and power thing, and it's actually an example that comes from my most frequent kind of anxiety dream or nightmare. This isn't so. I'm going to tell you about my nightmares, which is that as a teacher, you come into class and you have the authority, right? So your job as a teacher and all the expectations revolve around a particular power relationship. You come in as a teacher and the students who are already there are sitting there and they might be talking quietly to each other. Then other students come and they all have their desks facing you. You've set it up to be a circle and they're sitting in their circle and they pull out their paper and you stand up and you say, this is what we're doing. Everybody be quiet, and everybody respectfully looks at you. And then they start writing down notes, and you talk, and then you say, now you're allowed to talk, and you're allowed to talk, and they talk when they're allowed to, and then they don't talk, and you can talk to each other now, and then they stop talking because you tell them to stop. So that's all the structure of a classroom that's based on students agreeing that the instructor should have power. And so they're granting you the power by doing the thing that is expected in that environment. So my nightmares are that I walk, and again, I have this dream more often than I should probably admit publicly, and I realize this is going to go in a recording, but is that I walk into a classroom, nobody pays attention to me, and I'm like, hey, everybody sit down now, we're going to have class, and they all continue talking. And then sometimes some stand and they walk out of the room, and then I try to give a lecture and they're all talking, and then they're like yelling, and then sometimes they say things at me that aren't very nice, and they walk out, and I'm like, I'm the teacher, like, you have to listen to me. And that dream is indicative of classroom setting where I no longer have the power. I mean, I have the power to give the grade, that's kind of my authoritative power, but I don't actually have the power to make people listen to me or to determine who gets to talk when or where. And so that's a institutional setting where where the power, like, you recognize that the only reason it works is if everybody plays the game and recognizes what the power structure is supposed to be, and they grant the instructor power. But if they choose not to, which is actually what happens in at elementary and middle school classes quite a lot, which is why I teach college, because usually students listen to me and do what they're supposed to do, and I don't have to live my nightmare on a daily basis. So
yeah,
that's my institution power. Yeah,
that's a great example. And I'll also just say, if you don't want that in the YouTube video, we can clip that part and it can be out also. But I think it's really
I tell my students that
okay, it's really good.
All the time. Yeah,
I think it's great because
I always tell them, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, because it's really illustrative. I think everybody gets it. It's a
Yeah.
funny story. But then I'm always like, what if I come to class next time and they all are like, we're gonna do this thing, but that hasn't happened yet. And
That's
phew,
interesting.
I shouldn't say that either, because now they're gonna do it.
Oh no. No way. It's a funny counter to the just to just soothe your own anxiety, picture the crowd naked or whatever. It's like it's doing something different than that, of it's not that they're the vulnerable one. It's like that you're the the vulnerable one, and them not paying attention is I don't know. It's something there, but it's interesting.
Something there, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great example. And I think one of the things I like that you pointed out in that about folklore is that this lens of folklore, expressive culture, can really see the material manifestations and the everyday little interactions, interpersonal interactions that people have in these structures of power, or these systems that kind of we are necessarily part of. Like workplace drama.
Family just wrote something really inappropriate in the chat.
Oh my god!
I do not do that. I do not do that, and I never will. And
sorry, I just meant okay, all right. It's like if you're at a talent show or whatever. I don't know. People say that.
Okay, I'm gonna take your shovel before your hole gets any deeper, Daisy.
Please get me out of here.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
You're making such great points. You're making such great points, actually, and they should not make fun of you.
yeah, for real. They're like, what's family? That's so funny. Y'all are being really silly. I love it. Well, I have another question for you. We can move on to another question.
Yeah.
This might be a little more specifically about your past research. How is making a playlist a kind of folk expression in veteran communities?
I want to know is how you get green webs in your fingers when you do that.
I don't know. I'm on a green screen, and it was a lot better when I do my other camera, but on this camera, it's not quite as
I really
tight.
Like it.
I feel like it's my chameleon lizard.
Looks like
web.
slime. You know that slime you get in the can. It looks like you stuck your fingers in.
It kind of does.
Of you too. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Playlist is folklore. Yeah. So, I wrote this book about did a bunch of research with American troops who had fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the book is about their listening to music. And one of the things is that from a folklorist perspective, like I'd had people say, like, that's not folklore because it's musical listening. Folklorists are supposed to, we tend to study people who are involved in producing, like they're doing something creative, like they're playing guitars and they're singing. And my argument was that listening to music and creating playlists and sharing playlists is, you can consider it from a folklore, like from the perspective of a folklorist, because not many people are hanging around and playing guitars and singing these together anymore. That the main way that a lot of people in the contemporary world engage with music is through listening. And my argument is that it's active, it's a choice. Like we don't just, not like people talk about listening to music as being passive. Well, it's passive if you kind of walk through a space and there's music, but if you are selecting what you're going to listen to and who you're going to listen to it with and how you're going to sequence it and you want it to affect your mood or a space or you want it to communicate, or like, you know, it's a very argument is active engagement with artistic expression in the same way as playing a guitar and singing songs are. So I'm guessing
Yeah.
that was the answer you're looking for. I feel like I'm taking a test.
You're,
Did I
I
answer
know,
that right?
I'm like, there's no answer we're looking for. I was gonna say, I
Well,
just
no
want to
answer
know what
we're
you're
looking for.
No,
No.
I
I just
just
wanted to be
I just
No,
wanted
clear.
to-
Tesla,
Tesla, you're leading the witness.
I'm used
No,
to being
I
the
just-
one. I'm used to being the one asking the questions, and then people are always like, "Did I answer that
Yeah.
right?" And
Okay,
so
and
I
you're like,
just,
no,
you know,
yeah.
no,
I mean,
that's
yes,
not the
no,
answer I
like
wanted.
this, no.
Absolutely not.
You know, yes. I mean, yeah, what? Like,
Yes,
of
no,
course it is. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, true. I mean, that one was specifically about your work, but honestly, opening up the idea that like active listening could be a kind of folklore, because I think you're right. Like, people do think that you have to make music, and that's the folklore part, is making it and sharing it. But sharing it and making it, curating it, can be its own kind of, like, you're making me think now about like collecting records.
Even resequencing an album, if you've ever done that.
Yeah, like, and or I'm also getting a sweet picture of two people sitting next to each other sharing a headset, you know, sharing earbuds, you know, like that is an active like
Artistic
sharing, and it's totally
communication
folklore.
between small earbud
And
group.
and people send each other playlists, and then people.
Yeah.
There's also a lot that has to do with power. Like if you're in a public listening space, who gets to have their playlist be,
Mm-hmm.
you know, cast in a way that other people can listen to it, and
Yeah.
you know what, depending on who people are with, they'll select different playlists to share. And then one of the things that I thought was really interesting is there's a whole private component to it.
Mm-hmm.
So people will have private playlists that they don't want other
Yeah.
people to know that they're listening to. And then like in the
Mhm.
military context, there's a lot of gender stuff. So
Yeah.
people would listen to stuff that they didn't want other people to listen to. And like one of the funny examples is, you know, somebody told me that was a man, and he would listen to Nora Jones when he wanted to calm down or go to sleep. And he said, again, it's like, it's very like, yeah, that's his private listening. He's making the choice, but it's also kind of a community thing because he's trying to hide it. And then his friends
Yeah.
would be like, or other people in his unit would be like, hey, what are you listening to? So it's no longer private, then it becomes public, and then they respond
Yeah.
to it. You know, like, why are you listening to Nora Jones? It's not what we listen to because we're a community of people, and this is the kind of music
Yeah.
we listen to. So people would rip him and make fun of him. He said that was the music that the other people in his unit asked him for more than anything else. So they'd make fun of him, and then they'd be like, "Whoa, can you share that with
Wait
me?"
a minute, can you show me?
You know
Right?
what?
Because
I was
like
thinking-
everybody's like, "Yeah, we'd really, really love to listen to Nora Jones because it'd be
Yeah.
really nice to listen to that rather than like bombastic music right now." And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's one of my. It's like just, you know, as with folklore stuff, you know, you share things, you
Mhm.
hide things as part of your, or things are tied to your identity individually, or you're using music to do things for various reasons. Some of it might be social, psychological, political, economic,
Yeah.
and people do all of that through listening and sharing stuff that people listen to. So the more I thought about it, I was like, it's actually kind of the same, you know, and I think it's, you know, just kind of, we not just about technology. I think musical listening has long been an active thing, right? It's part of our engagement with musical culture. If we restrict ourselves as folklorists really narrowly, as you know, I think people are really resistant to thinking about all sorts of stuff related to technology, kind of missing the boat. Like if we only think of music is only interesting if people play it, we're but 90% of people aren't playing music, they're listening to music, and we don't think that's worth listening to, then we're going to miss understanding the role that music plays in life. And if what we're folklorists are interested in is the role of arts in everyday life, then listening to music is one of the biggest forms of engagement in arts in everyday life. So that's my perspective.
I was making fun of you for listening to
Brilliant.
Nora Jones, but I don't know why.
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Lisa, I also dropped in chat a link to Grounds for Resistance, which is your film that is tied to the project in a kind of broader sense too. So if people are interested in checking out more about that beyond just your wonderful book, My Music, My War, which people can also find readily on the internet too. Yeah.
I could just think that
Plug-
Grounds for
yes.
Resistance was a documentary that I made about anti-war activists who were all combat veterans that fought in Iraq and or Afghanistan. So they came back from war and formed a coffee shop outside of Fort Lewis McChord, Joint Lewis McChord, outside of Lakewood, in Lakewood, Washington, near Olympia, between Olympia and Tacoma. And I think it's an important film in terms of the documentation, because a lot of people don't know that U.S. military people have a wide range of opinions about military and about wars, but also that there was a whole national movement of anti-war activists came out of those particular wars. There was a national organization called the Iraq Veterans Against the War, and so I think that the film documents something that that was really important at the moment, but most people don't know at all about. And I think that right now it seems really relevant to think about it, because part of what I was trying to do with my work too is to a lot of times in the United States, when we talk about the military, we don't really talk about the human beings that are fighting the wars. We kind of make, if you are not in the military yourself or have family who are military, there's people make very big assumptions about who groups are in terms of their politics, in terms of their attitudes about things, in terms of their personalities, in terms of their how they think about violence, and it's just not true. Like there's really just a huge spectrum of people that are, you know, politically all across the spectrum, who are interested in all sorts of different kinds of things, listen to all different kinds of music, and really, really intense and profound experiences at war. Even if you go and they really support what they're doing, you don't go to war without it impacting you, in really, really profound ways. So I thought it was really important to get out of the political, to get out of talking about troops in relationship to either we like this war or we don't like this war, like the military or not, but like who are the people. And it seems like this idea of U.S. military being actively vocal about their political perspectives, even when it goes against U.S. foreign policy, is something that is going to be harder and harder in the next few years, or is particularly hard right now. And so I think the film is important in terms of it exists and always has existed, and it's that the free speech and the recognizing the people's political perspectives. As not being the same as U.S. foreign policy and the leadership who are making it really important.
Yeah. So my partner is a veteran, and I have a couple like really funny examples of that. But one of the things that I've learned the most from them about like a lot of military culture, or a lot of interaction between veterans and non-veterans in public life, is that there are quite a few veterans who may, for one reason or another, have to wear their uniform in public for some reason. and people will come up to them and congratulate them or thank them for service, and they often don't like that. They're often not into that. And in particular, my partner always says like, "Thanks, I make PowerPoints." Like they're like not really like, there's this idea that you're like fighting in this war and you're a hero and whatever, and they're like on, I don't know, Windows 95, like trying to get anybody to make a PowerPoint that's not only text. Like it's really rough sometimes.
Well,
That-
and a lot of the people that I were involved in the film project who had, been involved in real kind of combat zones, but who had, severe PTSD and also just you know, did things and they experienced and saw things that they really, really were not proud of and that were really haunting them. And so when somebody would tell them thank you for your service, it would trigger a really profound kind of mental health spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But it was tricky because other people that I knew or interviewed were like, they really appreciated it when people said that, because I also felt like they had done this really like huge kind of contribution, and there are a lot of sacrifices, and then come back and they're just kind of expected to integrate into life without anybody recognizing it. And so having people say thank you for their service make them, so I would,
it's super complicated.
I was like trying to figure out like, do I say it or not? And I was thinking about how I felt about it, and then would hear these like completely opposite responses, and they were they were equally important. Like, and I was like, I'm just not gonna. I don't know how to, like, if I'm talking to somebody and I hear something about their experience and how they feel, then I might say something. Otherwise, I'm not gonna say anything, which is problematic. Yeah. Anyway, it's really intense. Yeah.
I also think like, I mean, maybe that's the point of asking questions before you say something. How did you feel about your service? How, like, or do you want to talk about that with me? Or can I, like affirm your service for you? Or would you prefer me to affirm something else about your, whatever it is? I think that's it's an opportunity for a question, but people just kind of go, uniform, comment. It's like, okay.
And if it's it's one thing if you know somebody, because you're not going to walk up to a stranger and say like, "Excuse me, may I please affirm your service?" But it's also it's a.
Well, I might.
I think they're just you might. I think it's like recognizing that it's it's an intent. It's a highly personal and really intense thing, and so not to take it for granted that how what people, what's appropriate or whatever. But it's
totally.
I have like 3 follow-ups I want to ask.
Go for it.
Okay, number 1, this is the plot of one of my favorite episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, by the way, when Larry's golfing with a vet and he doesn't say thank you for your service, and he's like, I don't know what he did. Like, what am I thanking him for without ever knowing?
I don't know what he did.
It turns out he went AWOL, and Larry's like, see? Didn't think that would have been weird.
That would have been weird.
And then they accidentally end up in a Civil War reenactment, and he saves Larry, like carries Larry over his shoulder, and Larry thanks him for his service in the Civil War reenactment.
Very good. That's very good.
I also want to say, can I connect you with my coworker over email, Lisa, because we have a new folklorist in Florida who just interviews veterans. It's like a legislative line item here in my little red state where he's like the veterans folklorist. Can he just like pick your brain for a while?
Yeah. Oh, I'd be happy to. I mean, it was.
He's an ethnomusicologist. He studied military bands. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be happy to. I mean, I think that. I came into it with like. It was probably out of all the projects that I did, it was the one that I was made the most aware of my unconscious biases and my assumptions. I'd like be having a conversation and then I'd be like, what were you thinking? Like, and I went to high school in a military town, which was part of my motivation for doing this, and so it's not like I don't have military in my own immediate family, but I learned a lot about
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
it was a really intense process. I mean, you're like, being this middle-aged feminist professor doing this project and, kind of figuring out how to do it. And it was really great. I mean, it was like very rewarding. And so, yeah, I'd be happy to. Yes.
And third thing.
Sure. That was a yes or no question. I should have just said yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
No, but I liked it more that you went deep.
That you might, yeah, I love
Third
it.
thing, you mentioned Nora Jones is like your favorite like alternative to bombastic music. But what was your
Not
favorite?
my favorite. It was this guy.
This guy's
I
favorite.
or
interviewed.
one that stands out to you.
Yeah. Wait, what's your?
But that's like one that stood out to you, right? In the other direction, what's like a bombastic song that you will always remind you of that project?
So let your bodies hit the floor by
Drowning
Yeah.
Pool?
Drowning Pool was the kind of the anthem of the wars, and so that, which is ironic, right? Because
Yeah.
they interviewed band members and the person who
Mr.
who
Pool.
wrote the song. Yeah, thank you. I'm not good with names.
Mr.
but,
Drowning Pool.
Mr. Drowning
Is the
Pool.
man's
Yeah,
name.
thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Drowning Pool was like, no, we wrote this song about the mosh pit. We did not
Yeah.
write this
Yeah.
song
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
inspire people as they went into combat. But
Mhm.
I mean, so that was like kind of considered the unofficial anthem of the war. So
Mhm.
that was often what people would listen to both individually and collectively before going out for a mission or patrol. It was also one of the folklore forms that came out of those wars were YouTube videos. So these wars kind of came out at the same time that iPods came out,
Yeah.
and that
Mhm.
also, like literally the transition to smartphones. And so it was really interesting in terms of technology. And so it became really easy for troops to, they took a lot of photographs and they could take video. And so there's this whole genre of, well, there's a lot of different genres of YouTube videos that were made during deployments.
Mm.
And they're hilarious. I mean, there's this whole kind of Dallas Cowboy thing where they do a cheerleading thing based on some video, and but they make skirts out of bullet thing. That's one genre, but one of the genres is like towards the end of a deployment, before they were coming back, they would create a video of their time in deployment, and it would often be a series of photographs of themselves doing funny things, or in the middle of tanks rolling by, or planes overhead, and so they would create these little videos. And Let Your Bodies Hit the Floor was often the song that the videos were put to. So it's a whole, I mean, there's hundreds, and I mean maybe thousands of them. So that's really, that just comes up. But I want to say a couple things about that, because one of the big things about this project was confronting some of the stereotypes about military people. So one at the time, and during these wars, there was a lot of writing going on, like in the press, like on Rolling Stone magazine, and like articles would come out about music, and they would write, and a couple of scholars wrote, there's a few of us doing this work, and people would write about, like, these kind of, they'd make it sound like these badass soldiers are listening to this like badass music because they're, to make themselves even more badass, and kind of like presented them as very crude and like brutish. And but when I interviewed people, they were like, yeah, I was scared. I'd like get up in the morning and I'm like, do I feel like going out and riding in a tank and maybe driving over an IED? And no, like, I want to go and hold my gun and point it at people and push things, it was scary. And so they would use it like you do, like people use for sports or whatever, in order to amp themselves up, not because they're like these terrible people who are trying to become more terrible, but or they're just naturally confident people. And they're just like, oh, I like to listen to this. It was, like, people were having to kind of get into the mindset and the body set that they needed to go out and do what they had to do, and the music really helped them do that. I thought that was a really important narrative to share because I think that a lot of the rhetoric kind of dehumanizes people who are on the ground fighting, but they're all like human beings with emotions and feelings and thoughts and intellect, and they have ideas about what they're going to do, and they have they have reactions to it, and there's a enormous amount of variety within people. So I just wanted to share that. There's one other thing that I was going to share, but I forget. Oh, and also for many people, those same songs that they associate that they use in that way and trigger PTSD afterwards because the
That
songs
makes sense. Yeah.
evoke kind of the emotional
Mhm.
state that they were in or the experiences that they had.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, my partner's in a multi-generational military family too, and the song traditions between generations are also different. Like I've just been thinking about it, and music is super important for my partner. Like that is tied up in general and who they are, but also I think in no small part to I mean, they grew up on base and went to like a military high school, and like it's just all kind of part of their life ways and their folklore basically. And so it's really cool. I could totally see that being an important thing to clarify. Like it's not that you don't come into it as the barbarian stereotype. It's almost like trying to imbue you with that so you can handle the horror that you don't want to handle that's like in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Mhm.
one of the things about war is that unless you're a psychopath, it's not pleasant. I mean, it's not something you
Yeah.
want to do. It's like even if you believe that it needs to happen and you're proud of being the person that can do it,
Mhm.
it's a traumatic, difficult thing to do. Like whether you're seeing things or doing things or experience things or just the fear
Yeah.
is just ongoing. Also the boredom. There's like tons of boredom, but that's
Mhm.
a whole other
Yeah.
thing. But
Right. Right.
I think that we forget that when we kind of put these kind of tropes of this like
Yeah.
masculinity on people, and we do that of people of all genders or
Yeah.
in the military. Like you're supposed to just be like
Mhm.
stoic and invincible, but humans, I mean, like
Yeah.
what human is going to go and be somewhere where a bomb drops, even if they drops on horrible, terrible, awful
Yeah.
people? If you're going to watch that and be like, oh, yay, like that
Yeah. Yeah.
would be weird, even if they're like worse people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
still gonna be like, wow, that's kind of icky, like.
Yeah. You're gonna feel something about it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have another question for you that
Yes.
is about some of your more current research. Why is it important for refugees to make art for their own community?
Yeah, um so I'm doing a big project that's set in multiple countries with different groups of displaced people, with the idea that kind of complicating and understanding that when we use the term refugee, we're meaning a lot of different kinds of people from a lot of
Yes.
different kinds of
Yes.
places, and they left for a lot of different reasons, and they're in a lot of different kinds of situations. My project is focusing on arts as a way. I mean, one thing about my all of my work is, I guess, I just to kind of frame myself a little more, is all of my work uses art to kind of explore certain kinds of social sciencey questions, but also to understand how people, the lower rungs of socioeconomic or political situations, experience and respond to their kind of political and economic and social environments. So that kind of ties all of my work together, even though it might seem really disparate. And yes,
That's
it's
your
kind of
chameleon. Your
chameleon-ness. Yeah, I like
chameleonness.
that. That was my chameleon.
There you are.
The core of the
Yeah.
chameleon is there. I just articulated it. So one of the things about this place, so this one of the aims of this project is to, as with the one with military people, is to humanize the people under this broad umbrella that we kind of lump together as refugee, and our refugee
Sure.
crisis. Like, who are these human beings, right? And art, as with all my other projects, art is kind of a way to be able to get to know people and talk to people and tell stories or present information about people that is it kind of creates a way some accessibility that can be difficult otherwise. But one of the things about displaced people, and this ties to war, right? I'm interested in war, as it turns out, and conflict, is that you would think that as people are, in really traumatic situations, if it's, if they're being, if they're in the moment of displacement, or they're moving or fleeing, or like just arrived someplace, is that there's always art. And you would think that,
Yeah.
a lot of times people are like, well, nah, not really. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All the time.
People
Yeah.
will, they might have to flee in the middle of the night and be hiding in a forest, and a child starts crying, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna sing that baby a song,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
you're going to, you're going to tell a story. You're going,
Mhm.
whether it's a personal narrative, or folk tale, or a
Yeah.
legend, or and for people are going to sing together, and they're
Yeah.
going to worship, and worship often has art. So one of the things is that art is just always there,
Mhm.
and and in ways that even for me can be like surprising, like
Yeah.
somebody told me a story about watching a truck leave full of people that had just been arrested and was being driven away, and one person started singing a song and got everybody else on the truck to sing together as they
Mhm.
were being taken, and so those are initiatives that's just people using art because art is there for us to use. It's something
Yeah.
that is so ingrained in us, and it's not this extra thing that we have to study in school and only do, but it's something we all naturally do and engage with. So it makes sense that when you're in a position that's really scary, or really you're really traumatized, that would be something. There's a lot of NGOs and nonprofits and service providers for refugees that use arts, and they like
Yeah.
whether it's like a training program for people to learn how to crochet something so they can sell it, or use art for therapy for children, or have people who are in conflict come together and put on a play together to work out the conflict, or something like that.
Yeah.
In my project, I'm much more interested in when people who are displaced, they initiate things themselves, or they do positive things. They're using arts to do positive things, whether it's for themselves, or their larger kind of displaced people community, or the host country. And part of it is to really bring attention to how important the arts are, and kind of to analyze what art does. And by arts, I mean like anything that's remotely creative and expressive. But the other thing is that we tend there's so much stereotypes about. I'm using the term refugee very broadly, not in its
Right.
legal
Right.
sense. As people who are either like they're victims and they're vulnerable and they can't do anything for themselves, or people who are coming and they're just draining resources. They're just taking from the host country. So my project is trying to humanize people, kind of show the variety of, what, kind of how, kind of bring to light how what a like the term refugee just means so many different things in terms
It's
of
so
human beings
diverse.
involved and
Yeah.
humanize, and then also that these are agents, these are human beings who are actively doing things for them as they're moving around, for themselves, for their children, for their communities. They're doing it to make money, they're doing it for emotional support, they're doing it to bond, they're doing it to learn languages, they're doing it to make sure that their children know something about the place that they had to flee. They're using art to have fun, they're using art to flirt, they're using
Mhm.
art, they're falling in love, they're
Yeah.
having weddings, and they're using art to
Yeah.
decorate things, and they're using comedy because everybody uses comedy.
And they're
And
figuring out how to cook stuff that they want to from home, or that they had growing up, but they don't have the same ingredients. So they got to figure out a way
they
to
have to be
make it, yeah,
right, or
make it
they're
different.
learning something. There's also just that's a way to connect with people in the host country. I mean, and I'm talking like some of the people that I'm talking to in this project are artists. So like if you are a Syrian professional musician and you find yourself living in Turkey, then going and you want to play music to make money and do your art and express yourself, but if you can find Turkish people to play music with, it's a way to also create connections with people in the host country, not as a refugee, but as we are both artists, and this is something we can
Yeah.
connect on. So art is also something that allows for kind of connection and coming together across different groups. In a refugee camp where I do research in Malawi, you have people from different countries, from different language groups, and they talk about how if we come together and do art together, those differences aren't so important because we can kind of understand each other and connect and be inspired by one another. Across difference, we can also create something completely new in this environment. So there's just so much, and it's just been a really fascinating
Yeah.
project in terms of the tremendous breadth of ways that people
Yeah.
use creativity. And part of my project is also about joy, about laughter, about fun, and we tend to kind of stereotype people and not recognize that joy, like I've talked to people again who are that fell in love and right, in the middle of fleeing, like they met in
Yeah.
a church that they were both staying in, and then they made their way, to the next place, and now they're married and have children, and like there's a tremendous amount of that. And the other thing is when we talk about refugees, people often think of a very specific image of like starving people in a camp. Whereas if you go to a refugee camp in a lot of countries, people have been living there for 10 years, 15 years, 20
Yeah.
years. Like they're living in a precarious, really difficult situation, but they're living their lives. And so art is a part of what they do in their lives as
Mm.
they don't know what's going to happen in the future or when it's going to happen, but they're, 10, 15. I mean, I know people who have lived in a refugee camp for 30 years. It's a really, really long time.
That's a long time. Yeah.
But then also there's a lot of people who are quote unquote refugees who are living in middle class or upper,
Right.
like
Yeah.
wealthy houses and places, and they are professionals, and their kids are going to universities and getting level degrees, and they are also refugees, and we don't think about that. We just think about people in camp. So just kind of like,
Yeah.
there's people living in cities and people living in small towns and people farming and people living in camps, and that all fit into that umbrella. So kind of complicating that, and you might have people playing in a symphony, and you might have people, you know, drawing the stick in the sand because that's what they have, and
Yeah.
that's all part of
Yeah.
the refugee experience that we
Right.
say that we kind of lump together.
You're making me think critically about one of my favorite horror movies now called His House.
Mm.
Might have seen this. I don't know if people have seen this. His House. It's a
You
very
do
good
talk
horror
about this
film.
movie like once a
I
year
do,
on
I really,
stream. Yeah.
I think I do. I really love this movie, but it is a narrative, a refugee narrative, but it's very scary. Like people are moved into that stereotypically like sort of slum type apartment, and they're sort of followed by the. Sorry, my cat is being a ham right now. They're sort of being followed by a spirit that's calling them back, but also is sort of related to um the traumas and harms that they had to commit to leave the place that they came from. But that's all part of that same stereotype of refugees having to had this horrible life that like got completely uprooted and is haunting them, and they're these people suffer so much, and I think the movie can still be compelling and do its own thing, but it does kind of reaffirm exactly what you're trying to disturb through this artistic lens, and this lens of like there are stories that are equally meaningful that are being undertold about joy and love and togetherness and just what it
And they
means to
happen
be a
together.
refugee. Yeah.
I see a chat comment about the
Yeah.
Bosnian accordion player who learned in the camp, and
Yeah.
sharing that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is it happens together, right? I mean, we kind of think of people are traumatized or people are having fun.
Mhm.
Traumatized people are having fun, and
Mhm.
anybody who has experienced trauma,
Yeah.
then you might have laughed while as the day after. But trauma happens in a lot of different ways, and it not to minimize the trauma, but like we tend to think about the things in a much more polarized way than the way humans actually experience things. And also, like one of the amazing, like, there's a lot of really interesting things that have come out of this project. But some people who are refugees. Okay, so just from the people that I've interviewed, so this is like empirical evidence. Some people got on airplanes and flew to another country and got to the airport and said, "Hey," that you get to the airport and you say, "I want to apply for asylum." Other people came to another country and they legally, like, to study or to work or something, and then while they were in the other country, things happened in their home country where they could no longer go back,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
then they had to apply for asylum. Some people got citizenship in the new country because they wanted to live in that country, but they were going back and forth to their home country, and then things happened in
Yeah.
their home country where they can no longer ever, they can't return.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they have citizenship in the new country, they're kind of living in exile.
Right.
Other people climbed out of windows and swam through rivers and walked through forests, and like, those are all examples of people fleeing a home or not being able to
Yeah.
go home. And there's also a lot of internal displacement within countries.
Yeah. Right.
But the level of trauma is very, very different. It's all trauma, but it's different kind of trauma. It's different if if people came and did terrible things to you and your family and you saw awful things and you left, versus one day you were like, "Oh, things are getting bad. I'm going to go get on this plane," and then you're never able to go back. That's really hard, but it's a different kind of hard. And so
Mhm.
I think, yeah, that movie represents something, but it's
Yeah.
not. I think that, especially part of why is it important to kind of convey and educate people about this range of things, is because policies are made and attitudes are shaped by voters and whatnot, and services are created and international systems are created based on often misinformation or really limited single
Yeah.
narratives that don't speak to it. And so, if see what it's like, if you don't know what that if you don't understand this stuff and then you're making policy, which is what's happening, then policy is not going to address either. It's not going to address the needs, but it's also not going to be accurately reflect what the policy is supposed to be about. Like, it's
Right.
really problematic.
I'm sorry, my cat is being ham tonight. He's really.
Chad's
He
loving
came
it.
over.
Chad is
He
loving
came
it.
over to me and he was wet, and that's always a concern because there's not really a lot they could get into in my house. So I'm a little
Oh,
like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'll discovery for me later to find. But thank you for that answer. I found that like really rich, and I'm excited for your project to continue. Do you have an idea for where and how it will look and end up, or are you kind of just like still in the
I have a book manuscript that
Okay.
I'm shopping around now. So if
Cool.
anybody's a publisher and you want to publish my book, that'd be great.
That would be cool.
But it's like it's not a scholarly analysis type of book. It's not a theoretically driven book. It's just a book of
It's good. Yeah.
short narratives about particular individuals or organizations that are people who are refugees, and again, meaning that very broadly, using art to do something.
That's
And
awesome.
so each chapter is very short, and my idea is that analyzing and providing a theoretical framework, if somebody reads it all, you're gonna have might have more questions than answers, which I think is appropriate, and a very different perspective on, there's a lot of themes that run through without me analyzing and saying, "Hey, this is what you should think about this." It's just kind of like, here are these stories. A lot of stuff about gender, a lot of stuff about creativity, about home, about another thing that you wouldn't really think about that makes perfect sense is quite a number of people I've interviewed have said, I'm not happy that what happened that made me leave. Because I left, I'm now doing this thing, and I have this opportunity and this life that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and I really like this,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so if this whatever hadn't happened, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, or I wouldn't have met this person, or I wouldn't have this profession, or I wouldn't, and so, it's like that, things like that are just like things where you're like, oh, I hadn't really thought about it that way. And so there's a book,
Yeah.
and then somebody posted on the chat. I worked with a group of youth in a refugee camp in Malawi, and we produced a website called the Zaleka Art Project, which is, so it's youth in the camp that documented other youth in the camp who are artists or using art to do stuff. The idea of kind of like a public folklore approach of, rather than me saying like, hey, these are the people I want to document. It's like a community documentation project. And then I worked with students at my university at George Mason, undergraduates who did a lot of the work in terms of gathering the information, organizing the information, selecting it, and then one of the students designed the website. And he was a student at Mason who come to the U.S. as a refugee when he was a child from Sierra Leone, and he was studying web development. So he was like, "Hey, I'll make a website." And so it was really meaningful that he made the website. And
awesome.
the website has, as much as possible, it's the youth in the camp it's their words, it's their, we're really trying to make it the collaborative project, but really facilitating them putting something together. And that I'm hoping to also publish as a coffee table book, but it has a lot of pictures, so people are like, that'll be expensive. But hopefully that'll come out. I'm writing articles. I've also been working on. I was a fellow at the Wilson Center this year, but then
Oh
the Wilson
yeah.
Center got shut down by an executive order. So that was an intense experience of having a fellowship that came to a sudden end. I was trying to use some of the material I have to write short pieces for policymakers, thinking wanting to have a little bit more of an impact, and also writing shorter, more accessible pieces to publish outside of academic spaces to have broader audiences and impact.
That's awesome. Especially for communities that are like so strategically underserved in public education, or some can be and some cannot be, like it depends on what, as you were saying, like what their status as refugee is. But yeah, I could see that an accessible, like a not super theoretical, but a like, here's the depth and breadth of this kind of experience of person that's become concretized in a legal definition, but look at how much more expansive that entire community and world is. It's really cool. All right. Well, that's the end of our formal questions, but we do have some funsy questions for you. And that means it's time to invite on our guest question asker. And if you're here, hop on hop on Discord. And in the meantime, Dom, what do you think? Do you want to ask the one in the meantime while Ange hops in, or oh, never mind, Ange is here. Ange is ready to ask a question.
I guessed who the surprise question would be.
Wow.
I'm just smart that way.
Awesome.
Hello, Ange,
Hello.
a winner of Who Wants to Be a Folklorist, friend of the show, GMU alum, and fantastic individual who I
enthusiast.
feel mahjong enthusiast, who I feel blessed to call my friend. How are you?
Not bad. How's it going?
Pretty good.
It's crazy. What are you? It's been crazy.
We've had a really chaotic stream this time, but we're here and
I've been watching. It's been great. Yeah.
Hey, I will say, you coming from chat, you've been so nice and talkative today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. For real, very fun. Ange, go ahead, ask away, and ask Lisa anything that you would want to ask.
Wait, no. Ask
no,
Lisa.
Okay, maybe not that. Ask Lisa the question that we talked about.
Daisy.
You're like, ah! No, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Hold on. I need a little. I gotta ask a question in Discord real fast because I am confused.
Wait.
Oh, the one that you texted me.
Yeah.
Did you like the like version that if you couldn't show up, you would rather ask that one?
What? I'm so sorry.
on.
I am totally brain dead.
Hold on. Nah,
Oh,
you're
no,
not.
you're right.
good.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right, Ange.
Okay.
I don't know why they did that.
Okay.
Huh? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you go with your gut.
I
Go with
said it.
your
I
gut.
said it weird.
I'm
chaotic. Thank you for putting up with us, Lisa.
sorry. This is. Let's just blame me. You know I'm a troublemaker. Um.
A rebel
I'm
out there.
worried.
So I was curious. How you found your way to Malawi in a research capacity, having spent your early childhood in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
You didn't ask me something scary.
Oh my gosh.
No.
It's actually kind of an embarrassing answer because it's my mommy and daddy.
That's not embarrassing. That's so
Yeah.
That's
folkloric.
for funsies questions.
That's
So the year,
yeah.
so I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo and lived there until I was 9, and then moved to the U.S. Apparently, I was not interested in reading and writing English. It was kind of a concern of my parents. But anyway, and then fast forward to the year that I went to graduate school, the same year, my mom got a job in Malawi. And so when I went to graduate school, I was really interested in doing research in South America,
Huh.
in some place some place where there would be like an Africa diasporic
Right. Yeah.
population.
Yeah.
And anyway, so my parents moved to Malawi, and they said we'll pay for you to come visit for once. Like they couldn't pay many times, but they're like, we'll pay for you to come visit one time. And so in my first summer after graduate school, after my first year in graduate school, I took them up on that, and I went to Malawi, and so it happened to be that Malawi had a dictatorship from, I'm gonna age myself now, but that's okay. From 1964 to 2002, no, 2004, and they had their not 2004. What am I talking about? 1994. So they had their first democratic elections in 94, 95. I know these dates so well, but I'm losing my mind.
We're catching you on the fly. You're good.
So my parents moved there right after the transition from the dictatorship to the multi-party system of government. And so I went to visit in the summer of 1995, and they were about 1 year in. And it was a really interesting time because under the dictatorship, there had been a ban on anthropological research and also a huge amount of control on culture because part of the authoritarian rule was tied to cultural stuff. So there was this like opening up of all this cultural stuff, and there had been almost no study or research done on cultural stuff. And so it was like a really, really fascinating time. And I was interested in politics. My undergraduate degree is actually political science. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool. And also, like, if you're going to do research abroad, it's really, really expensive. And I was like, oh, I just did some preliminary research because I'm here. And my parents took me around to places.
Yeah.
So then when I went back, then I was like, okay, since I had this opportunity, I may as well. And it's such an interesting time in Malawi, and I didn't know where Malawi was before I went, to be honest with you. I had a postage stamp in my stamp collection when I was young. But also, like, culturally, because the DRC it's had conflict since before I was born. Like, it just has ongoing conflict. So I knew that I didn't want to go back there because of that, but Malawi is in a similar cultural area, so it was also, it made sense culturally, and I was really interested in, I thought, like migration, like cultural movement and migration, and so it kind of made sense. So yeah, that's how it started. And then the next year I got a grant to go and do research, and then I was like, whoa, get a PhD, they're going to give me money to travel, and that's really all I wanted in life, was people to give me money to travel. And so that's why I started. And I'm gonna like just finish this story full circle, and I can't stop a story. Is that when I started doing this research with refugees, and I'd been to been going to Malawi since 1995, but I hadn't been to the refugee camp until I went in 2021. In the refugee camp, there's a huge population of people from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and specifically from the eastern region, which is where I was spent part of my childhood. So it was kind of in the refugee camp, and having never been back to the DRC, and then spending time in the refugee camp with thousands of people. The DRC was really has been really intense. And then the biggest joke is they always walk up to me and they're like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Hello," and they're like, "I'm from the Congo," and I always say, "I'm from the Congo too," and they say, "No, you're not," and I say,
And
"Yes,
you're like,
I
"Yes, I
am," and
am.
they say, "No, you are."
You
And
say, "Yes,
then
I am."
I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
I'll ask them, I'm like, "Where were you born?" And they, they'll say where they were born, and I'll say, "Well, I was born in Kisangani," and they're like, "Wait, what?"
They're like, wait,
And
oh,
so
oops.
that's
Yeah.
my icebreaker in doing field work now. It's just a joke.
That's really funny. Of course, I like that you get to play with expectations in that way. That's kind of like, that's a cool interaction. And do you have any follow-ups? You don't have to. Sorry, I don't mean to put that on you.
Oh gosh, no, I wasn't prepared for follow-ups.
Okay, no, that was great. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'd always been curious and hadn't gotten a chance to ask. So thank you. I'm gonna get out of voice chat now and back in text chat and Twitch where I belong.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, and thank you
Thanks.
for asking that question. I
Sure.
super appreciate it.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
now, Andrew, ask the questions instead of answering them.
Yeah, wow. Nice. Dom, should I ask this chat question just because it's related to the comment?
I don't understand how this chat question is 2 words, but go for it.
The chat question from Fart Lorist is stamp collection.
I think that's like the only hobby I ever had, and it was I had this.
The only hobby you had was a stamp collection? That's
My
a very
dad- my
unique
dad-
hobby to
My
not
dad
be
was
the
really
only
into
thing.
it, and we'd like get envelopes and steam the stamps off, and like I had a little notebook that I put them in. And I think the Malawian stamp had an antelope on it.
Whoa, you went to
I
the
just had
full
one
on like
stamp
steam
from
them
Malawi.
off. That's
you
like
put
the
them
full
to
on.
turn on the tea kettle. Then the steam is kind of condensed, or it's like kind of channeled into
Yeah.
one place, and then you hold the letter. Now this, you all on your phones, you have no idea what we used to have to do back in the olden days. Like we'd hold the letter up, but you couldn't hold it too close because if it got wet, it would destroy the stamp. So you just hold it kind of close to the
Like,
steam,
close to
and
the
it would
steam.
slowly like start to peel off, and then you'd hold, you'd kind of move it back and forth so you don't get too wet, but you have enough steam, and then eventually the steam would make all the gooey stuff gooey again, and then you could peel off the stamp, and then you'd have to lay it on a paper towels and like weight
flatten
on it
it.
so it'd be flat. Yeah.
This
Then
is
I would
amazing.
Piece out of flour and water, because again, this is the olden days. And then I would put it in the corner and in my little notebook.
Oh my gosh.
Each page would have the name of the country, and
I just have to
because
say.
I lived in the Congo, I got a stamp from Malawi. somehow.
Okay. I just have to say, I'm 36 years old and going to the chiropractor first thing in the morning tomorrow, and you just hit us with the "you kids and your phones." I just want to say,
Wait, yeah, we're
I
graduating
feel like
we're
I'm
graduating a little bit.
smoothly middle-aged now.
Yeah.
Have you ever steamed a stamp off of an envelope, Dom?
Is this a shibboleth?
Do you even know?
Did
Did you even know
Do
it
you
was?
ever put your feet in Poughkeepsie?
You ever steamed a stamp off an envelope?
You ever seen
Dom?
a stamp in Malawi? All right, he's in.
I have not, but I know. Yes. It too quickly are we approaching middle-agedom, and Dom might be there. I'm on my way still, but we're kind of like, oh no, but we don't know. People keep calling us the
that you're a
kids.
youngin at the beginning.
Well, that's true. People
They
keep calling
were
us
when
the
you met
kids, and
them.
I'm like, yeah, when you met me, I was a youngin, but maybe now, I don't know. It's the time marches on.
Now you're Dr. Daisy.
Now
That's
I'm
right.
doctor.
Dr.
Yeah.
Daisy Dreambrain.
It's all changed. Yeah.
Everything's different now. Okay, we have a couple other funsy questions for you. This I'm excited to ask this one. What's like one thing that tourists, Westerners, and outsiders think that they understand about safaris that is a misconception?
Ah, you did your research. Somebody did the research.
The sleuths.
Thank you, sleuths. Thank you,
The
sleuths.
sleuths.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you,
Sleuth.
sleuths.
Caitlin, thank you.
Yeah, wink, wink.
Well, I mean, I think that there's animals all over Africa. If you're wandering around Africa, you're gonna come. I mean, there are animals all over Africa, but then when you're wandering around Africa, you're gonna run into an elephant or
A jaguar, or
Not
like,
just in the park.
jaguar or a you
Yeah.
know.
There's no
I'm
cities.
trying to think of an orangutan. Or,
Yeah, I don't want to get
yeah, but really, like if you wander around most African, well, all, probably all, but I haven't been to all of them. Is what you really see are goats and chickens. Like there's a lot of those, and there's some lizards. But yeah, if you want to see any, you won't see any orangutans. But if you want to see any animals, you have to go to these things called national parks or private parks.
Yeah.
Because all the animals have been killed off, and
Yep.
and so most, what's a sad fact is that most African people in the countries where people go on safaris have never seen the animals that people go on safari to see. That's my
Yeah.
fun fact.
Mhm.
That's a
like,
great fact. Yeah.
You go to Zambia, you go to Zimbabwe, you go to Malawi, most of those people have never seen a zebra or a giraffe or a lion. The only people that get to see them are the people who have enough money to pay to go on safari or to go into the camps. Sometimes they take school children in on tours or the people who work there.
Yeah, it's like a
Some
zookeeper
people
or
who live
something.
near the borders of the camp. I mean, it's kind of like here. Like, how often
Yeah.
run into a buffalo or a bear or a moose? Like not too often.
Don't say a gator
Sadly.
because
Really sad.
Well, alligators don't count for Dom's
Okay.
area. But in Ohio, I never see an alligator. So
Well, and if you live in a country where there's crocodiles in the river, there's crocodiles in the river. Like there, but
yeah.
like sadly, to see an elephant, you mostly have to pay to go into a park. So that's a lot of people who go on safari. They go and they stay in a fancy hotel, and then their interaction with the local population often is as servers, as rangers, as the people who make their beds, and unfortunately they tend to interact more with the animals sometimes than they do with the local population, which fortunately can reinforce some stereotypes about the local population.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Safaris are really fun. I do them guiltily.
They seem like one of those gray areas of like, wow, I get to be connected to seeing this like amazing animal in a curated wild. I mean, I guess what wild is always curated, I guess, in some way. But they can reinforce stereotypes and ideas about Africa, as I say, the country of Africa, as people incorrectly say all the time. Yeah. Dom, you want to ask us next question?
Hi.
Or are you goofing in the chat? Because there's some funny stuff happening. in the chat.
We are goofing in the chat. No, I have a serious funsy question for you,
Okay,
Lisa.
this is pretty good.
Okay. So, I don't know if you know about this, but you lived in my hometown. You lived in my old stomping grounds.
I went through this, but I don't remember which one because I've lived in everybody's stomping grounds.
As a good West Toledo boy.
Oh, Toledo.
I need to know what your favorite food in and around the
West
University of Toledo
Toledo.
was.
Oh, hands down the that place called? There was a Lebanese restaurant that had tiger in the title.
Tiger Bakery.
Tiger Bakery. There's Tiger Bakery.
Great answer. Great answer. Great answer.
But across the
Why
street
would you take me to Tiger Bakery?
Why didn't I take you? Because we took you to the
across
Grape
the
Leaf instead, but I thought about taking you to Tiger Bakery. Yeah.
Okay.
right near the Tiger Bakery, there's a restaurant that I'm forgetting the name of that I dream about.
Which
It's a
Tiger? The
Lebanese
Tiger
restaurant.
Bakery on like McCord and Central. That
Yes.
Tiger Bakery. Across the street from there.
Or right near there, there used to be a Lebanese restaurant. It was so good. I dream about it. Like
You're
it's in a,
saying a Lebanese restaurant in Toledo is not narrowing it down.
I know, but it's right. It was on Central. I think it's on Central.
Oh, is it Beirut on Central?
Yes.
Or that's Monroe, but one block down. Yeah.
I might not remember my Toledo streets. 'Cause
No,
I'm not
you're a block south,
I'm
but
close.
yes.
Yeah, so very close. Yeah, so the Beirut, because went there for when I went for my job interview, and then we moved near there, so that was like our local place.
My aunt used to live across the street from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the Tony Paco's.
No, another great answer. That's where you take everyone on their first. I took my girlfriend to her first Tony Paco's trip this Christmas, and we got seated under Katie Holmes's bun. That's like the guest of honor. Katie Holmes's bun.
Oh my god.
She's the most famous. She's the most famous Toledoan who wasn't on MASH. Is all I'll say.
So Toledo has a lot of weird things that are like that. It's like the number one in, and one of them is at least when we lived there, it was the number one more restaurants per capita than any other place in the U.S.
Yep.
And apparently it was like because it's like so middle America that a lot of chain food restaurants they use it as a testing ground.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. When I
Yeah.
was a senior in high school, Taco Bell used Toledo as the testing ground for the Doritos Loco Taco.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's the this is not food, but the other like Toledo. There's many Toledo things, but is it Anderson's the store that
Yeah.
sells toilets and parrots and bananas and fine wine? Like literally,
No, I
and
tell
they,
you,
like,
Anderson's retail is now closed. They're just like supply side now. They don't have the store anymore.
so disappointing because literally they would have like Tuesday nights you could go. They did wine tasting. So you could literally like have your shopping cart, and we would have like our 1-year-old in the shopping cart tasting wine, and then you could take that shopping cart and wheel it around and put a toilet in there.
Yep.
And literally they sold parrots
That
there.
is
So
true.
I don't know, maybe you
I
would
was
put
like,
the parrot in your
You
shopping
were
cart.
perfectly
Did I
describing
hear
the
that
Andersons
right?
in
That you said
Perrysburg, huh?
Carrots?
Yeah. There was,
The bird. They had the bird. They had a
The
bird.
bird.
and
do you
they
need
had
do you need to buy an
Okay.
exotic bird and get a kielbasa at the House of Meats counter?
That
Then
sounds like a great
Anderson's in
night.
Perrysburg. The Andersons, more for your home. Bow, bow, bow.
And they had chicken quarters, 29 cents a pound. Like you could get 10 pounds of chicken quarters. So like
Yep.
for $3, we could feed like so many people.
One of my best
that
friends
was a
from
long
high
time
school
ago.
is HR for the Andersons. That
Oh my
is her
God.
job. Yeah. Well,
so
you
funny.
named
Our
you named Tiger
That's
firstborn
Bakery.
amazing.
Oh,
I
sorry,
did
go for
okay.
it.
So our firstborn Annika was born there, so she's probably loving this. I don't think they're listening anymore.
Oh well.
Some people
She was
are
born
yapping
at,
in chat saying Tony Paco and dropping addresses.
When
So
I took
Flower Hospital, was that a hospital?
Flower Hospital in Sylvania.
Aw.
Okay.
Yeah,
My
that's where she
nephew was born there.
they're listening.
Yeah.
Really,
Toledo,
really nice
Toledo
hospital.
tough. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
When we drove here, the girls and I drove from Oregon to DC when we moved here, and so we went through Toledo.
Oh,
I was so proud to show Annika her place of birth, her home,
Yeah.
homeland.
Yeah.
It was like a gray, rainy day.
You're like,
Okay.
great.
Drove to
Okay.
Flower
The
Hospital. we
most
took a
gray
picture.
days per capita. Lake
drove
Erie has the most
through-
gray days per capita anywhere in the states.
Wow.
So I'm really sorry, Don, but you were not impressed at all. Did go to Tiger Bakery, and they were like, yeah, maybe that was okay, but it did not leave her with a sense of pride, which I was really disappointed by.
Annika, don't you know
Well-
that you will do better in Toledo? And that's
That's
not
what
a
it says on the
suggestion.
sign.
That's in the imperative. You will do better in Toledo. We took
It's
when
hilarious.
Daisy visited. We took Daisy to the Grape Leaf.
Grape Leaf. That was really good.
That's out on Holland,
yeah.
Sylvania. Yeah,
That was really good.
Daisy went to the Grape
I remember
of the
It's very good.
canonical Lebanese places to eat.
Yeah.
Daisy went to Grape Leaf because
It
that's
was
the
very
guy
good.
the
The
most
grape
vegetarian
leaf is
options.
the one. So one of the nice things about having a baby in Toledo was that the grape leaf. I think it was the grape leaf. If you, they wanted the baby to eat, so they would give her like a little bowl of hummus, so she
Yeah.
could have some
Aw.
hummus. Then you go to other places and they'd be like, well, that's $7 for the side of hummus. I'd be like, baby's one. Like, she literally needs a tablespoonful, but they would just bring her little bowl and she would eat it up. And
Oh.
The Grape Leaf, like,
Really funny.
frequently, like when like my stepdad like has like mobility issues, so we'll be like ordering takeout from the Grape Leaf a lot when
Yeah.
family's in, so we can like all like eat at
Be at
home with
home,
him.
yeah.
And frequently, if there is a menu item of the Grape Leaf that calls for like your choice of fries, rice, or salad, they will give you all three. They'll just be like, here you go,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
they've been around forever, so it's a
Yeah.
business model that works.
Yeah, it
Awesome.
is. Yes, it is.
They're
All
doing
the
something. They're doing
stingy
something right for
restaurant
their
owners.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Doing
right,
something right for their
you know
community.
what? These are great options. We talked about Tiger Bakery, the Grape Leaf, Tony
Yeah.
Bacco's, the deli counter at the Andersons. As far as
Yeah,
I'm
it's
concerned,
very good.
Covered
the
some
4
ground.
best restaurants.
That's pretty it.
Yeah. And I
Pretty
have
much
to say
it.
though, the place we ate the first night that we drove up from Bloomington and got into our house, and then for the folklores out there, John Fenn and Andy Clovis. I was pregnant, so I couldn't help out. Tore out the rug of our house in a single day, and we found these pristine wood floors underneath it.
Oh my
That
gosh.
night, Dom, you're not going to be proud of this, but we did go to the Andersons and we went to the Olive Garden. It was in the parking lot of the Andersons, if I'm not mistaken.
You
or
can't
very close to
you can't
the-
get no Mancinos
That-
instead. Come on.
Yeah. You know, it was like
That's so
all
funny.
you can eat iceberg lettuce, and after tearing out a rug, that's what you want. You know, it's
Oh my
just
gosh.
like,
Yeah.
No dressing, just
all
all
the
you can eat
bread.
iceberg
I was
lettuce.
like, oh yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect.
I'm gonna see Andy tomorrow, and I'm gonna ask him about that.
Yeah, oh, he'll remember. No, this was
Okay.
epic.
That's
We
awesome.
got to this house and it had. Well, he'll tell you. Ask him.
Yeah,
He'll
okay.
describe the
He'll
house way
remember it
better than I will.
Aw.
Amazing.
Also, did you know
Latonia Avenue.
were you there with Tom Barton?
Yeah. He was the dean that hired me.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Okay.
Tom Barton.
Associate. He
Is-
was the associate dean.
Tom
Yeah.
Barton is the reason. Is the person who like I told my parents I got into folklore school in Indiana, and they're like, okay, but don't, that seems like a scam. Don't go to that. And my mom, who worked at the UT Foundation, told that to Tom Barton in a meeting, and Tom Barton's like, he got into Indiana? What? And so my mom
Yeah.
credits Tom Barton as the person who convinced her
Who, like,
folklore was
convinced-
real.
It's awesome. Yeah. Mom
Yeah.
was
So
great. Yeah. I think that's why I got hired, because I think people were like, well, I was in a women and gender studies program. They're like, well, she's a folklorist. We don't know what that is. And Tom was like, no, that's amazing. We should hire folklore's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
He
love
was
Tom.
my biggest cheerleader. Yeah.
I
he was super awesome.
sometimes see Tom just having coffee and a meat pie at Black Kite on Collingwood. He's just a local.
Awesome. Amazing.
All right, I'm removing my face. Daisy, get back to it.
Okay, we've got a couple questions left, and one in particular I'm gonna ask you that I think from
Eggs
chat
and
is-
legs. Eggs and legs.
Oh yeah,
legs.
people are saying eggs and legs.
It shut
in
down
Toledo.
now. The diner, Eggs and Legs,
Eggs and legs. Where was that?
was right around that same. It wasn't on.
Oh.
It was near Monroe, or like right near the Beirut.
Okay.
It was a diner. It was the best diner. Like, it had the best breakfast, but they had pictures of like movie stars who were really not wearing a whole lot of clothes.
On
and-
Central.
It's not there because I looked for it. I think that it shut down, but it was open for a very long time. It was this old diner, and they had the really thick, sorry for the vegetarians, but really thick, yummy bacon and huge, like perfect hash browns and eggs. And so you'd sit under these pictures with like these like saucy legs and eat your eggs. So yeah, but it wasn't called Eggs and Legs. That's just what we called it.
Oh wait,
Oh,
is
it
it the
wasn't
Star?
called-
Wait, is it the Star Diner
What street was that on?
on Central?
Yeah, because I think it was like right across the street from the Tiger Bakery. Because I think we would go and have breakfast and then walk
In the
across
same
the street.
in the same mini. It's in the same Star Diner's in the same mini mall as Tiger Bakery, in the same strip mall as Tiger Bakery, and I always describe it as Hooters for breakfast.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Hooters for
yeah, Star
breakfast?
Diner.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Quality
I don't
Eggs and
food.
remember what
legs.
it's actually
Hooters
called.
for
Quality-
breakfast, eggs and legs.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
see-
yeah.
I
Well, I
see,
thought
like,
it was
that-
literally called Eggs and Legs, but when you're describing it, I'm like,
No,
oh, that's
yeah,
Star
yeah.
Diner. I know Star Diner.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yes,
So
me,
funny.
and
Okay.
me and my four
Amazing.
brothers,
Yeah.
we've eaten at the Star Diner before. Come on.
I'm sure you enjoyed that. You were getting your
Amazing.
energy up for your Pac-Man.
Yeah, for
Or
Pac-Man
your whatever.
Crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our next question that you will see a relevant image to, I've just shared to you on Discord. Okay. And this image is very special, and it does relate to somebody who I do believe is still in the chat. And that would be a donut tier list. And specifically, we would like to ask you, John Fenn ranked the following donuts. What would you change about his ranking if you were making your own donut tier list? You don't have to we're not asking you to make a whole tier list, but what's wrong about his placement of tasty donuts on this?
Is it's kind of blurry. So is this purple the highest score? Is he trying to get
Yes,
my
it is a
purple
little
the
bit
highest
blurry.
score.
Here, let me fix that. I'll make it a little less blurry. Sorry, I figured.
Is he ranking it for me or for him?
I'm getting
This
there.
was
Hey,
his
chat,
own-
I'm
hold
getting
on.
there. We're improvising, remember? We're improvising.
We're
I
improvising
don't
a
understand.
little.
Am I trying to rank it based on what I think he likes better? Is it one
No,
of
no,
these
no.
like
No, we want to know why
No.
he's wrong.
On John's episode with us on Folkwise, we asked
Okay.
him to rank types of donuts as
Okay.
a fun parlor game, and this is his official ranking of donuts based on his own preference.
Right.
And we left off buttermilk bar and we added it special because it was that meaningful of a donut. And I think it's second only to what's the top one? Was that it? It wasn't. It's
Sour
not the
cream.
cooler. It's the
Buttermilk
old fashioned.
Yeah, buttermilk old fashioned.
Buttermilk is an old fashioned. So if you, do you agree in terms of your favorites? Like, do you have a similar favorites of donuts that to this sort of tier list ranking? And we can tell you what some of these images are if they're really, really hard to see. Or are you like, oh my God, I can't believe
Are these just
that
whack?
the old fashions on the top? Are these just like incorrect? How is Boston cream at the bottom? Is so awful.
I think donuts should be at the bottom. Like, what
Oh, thank
Oh,
you. Thank you. Because when we were looking at this, we were like, how are all of those cruller?
Yeah.
How is all of
Yeah.
that below donuts? Both kinds.
Yeah. I think donuts need to be way down on the bottom. And then those like those little like the white sugar covered little cake donuts, to me
Yeah.
they would go on the bottom. They would go on the bottom too.
All okay, fair enough.
And then like
yeah.
like in the row A, that like chocolate looking thing that
The
needs to
chocolate
go
glaze.
Well, it doesn't look like a chocolate glaze. It looks like a kind of like a chocolate old fashioned maybe.
Oh, is it the third one?
Yes.
Those are
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5
chocolate old
over.
fashioned.
Five.
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
chocolate
that
old
one
fashioned.
needs to go back way up to the top.
Chocolate old fashioned number
That
one.
needs to join its
quadruple S
it's
tier.
It
it's
needs to
big
join.
sister.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
needs to join its part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the donuts, yeah, they shouldn't even be on there.
Wow. I
Amazing,
think
amazing.
I think it's cool how you were like, yeah, he wasn't hard enough on donuts.
Yeah, that's pretty
He
good.
could have been more mean to donuts.
Yeah, he should have been meaner to donuts.
That's pretty awesome.
He probably grew up eating them, whereas I grew up much
Sure.
more cultured.
Yes, much more
Grew up
cultured.
steaming
Very good.
stamps.
Okay, awesome. So we have one more just fun little like sort of parlor game activity
Let me see.
to share with you.
I think I know how we have to do this, but let's try.
So I'm gonna switch my stream to this other window. I actually think I'm gonna scoot it, and that might change how it looks a little bit. Do I need to reshare?
No.
It looks okay. Okay, cool.
Well, I just need to. I need to do some shit.
Yeah. Okay, so while Dom is pulling that together, I'll explain what's going on. Okay. So, Lisa, that's the end of our formal curated questions plus a handful of chat questions that the sleuthing team curated for you for this particular interview. But we have one final thing to do, and it's a little bit different than we've done in a second with our guests. So normally, just like you saw that donut tier list, we often make a tier list with our guests, which is basically just a way to rank things in everyday life. Sometimes we find out stuff about you that just is fun to like rank. We just want to see what your opinion is, you know. But another thing that we've done in the recent past, is make a meme together called a starter pack. Do you know what a starter pack meme is? Have you heard of this before?
No.
Okay, so a starter pack, here's like our first example of one. Basically, it's sort of, I forget, Dom, you remember the guy's name? I'm forgetting his
Jack
name right now.
Wagner, who
Jack
has
Wagner.
who has a podcast where people tell memories about ghost stories.
Yeah. So he's sort of credited for coining the sort of framework
At
of this
Versace
meme.
Tamagotchi.
At Versace Tamagotchi on the internet. I love that. But a starter pack meme, the form of the meme is the starter pack. And basically it's the idea that if you are going to start in like either becoming part of a subculture or making a kind of music or getting connected to a particular community, there's some things that you need to know, that you need to start with to kind of get into the spirit of whatever that activity is. So here's an example of one that we made. This is the folklorist starter pack. If you're going to start being a folklorist, here's some examples of things that maybe you might be starting to pay attention to in your life that could lead you in the direction of folklore. So we've got this great cap, honestly inspired by John, I think now. I'm thinking about that.
Oh yeah.
A good chunky necklace, some clogs. You might see an outfit, right? So sometimes they have a starter pack, so I'll give you some prompts for it, but usually there's like an outfit, there's usually a food, so we have like granola, you know, you're taking it on the road with you. There's usually like a music album, so here's like an Alan Lomax album, a location or a place, here's like a haunted house or a barn, an abandoned barn. And then there's usually some kind of quote or something like that. And this one we said, I'm not like most anthropologists, I'm a folklorist. So this is like our tease of this. And there's a bunch that we've made. Actually, I'll show you Lisa Gabbert's. So we had Lisa Gabbert, actually, your friend, make a Utah winter starter pack with us. And this is this is what we put together. So you can kind of get the idea of sort of the vision of behind it, where there's some important albums, some like, you know, this is cheeky, not cursing. We got the sodas, we got the fry sauce. You know, all kinds of stuff here. So this is an example of one. Another example we did, this was Moomin Fandom starter pack. We asked a guest to do also, and that was really fun to make. So these are just some examples. But what we would love to make with you is a folklore fieldwork starter pack. Since one of the most recent books that you co-wrote with John, although he says that you really wrote and he supported the writing of, that was him, he's saying that, not us. We thought it would be fitting for you to help us make like a folklore fieldwork starter pack. So for students who are going to go out in the field for the first time ever, what are things that they need to bring with them? What are some ways that they can engage more deeply in that group? So we have some prompts here, like a fit check, that's just like your outfit, like what should you wear, what's something you should think about, like a mantra or a quote or something like that you could take with you, where is it going to be, who's a good celebrity inspo for this, what food are you bringing, a book, maybe it's a book you bring with you, maybe it's your book, and we can change anything about this. We can change the background. I can change the font. I can make the font look different. We can make the colors different. So just name some symbols that come to mind, and I'm going to start compiling them, and I'll try to help bring this vision to light. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind isn't one of these categories, but like some breathing exercises to relieve the
Okay.
anxiety.
Ooh, oh my gosh, I wonder. Okay.
Is that uncool?
No, that's amazing. I wonder what what images we'll come up with for this. Let me see what I can. How about like is this how about this? Is this
How about like
a good
Zen? Yeah, but maybe a cartoon version.
maybe a cartoon or something. Yeah, let's see what we can. Yeah, maybe I'll look in like elements breathing exercise.
Is there like an emoji of like somebody meditating or something?
I bet there is. Oh, okay.
It looks
It could be
hysterical.
cool. It could be quite literal, which would be kind of funny. Excuse me. There's some. What about like this?
Right.
This is quite good. Okay. Great. Some breathing exercises. Okay. I can move them around and I'll make them look cool. It's just we can compile things for the moment.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Kind of like. For the fit check, I mean, part of it's something like nondescript. You know, like you need something that people are not going to read too. Like people aren't going to read too much into that. You're going to kind of fit in.
What's
that's so context dependent. So I don't know how.
Yeah. What's like?
You don't want to look too much. You don't want to look too much like you.
Yeah, I've worn all my flannels in the field.
I typed in neutral outfit, and I know I'm getting mostly neutral colors on white people, so that's not totally encouraging.
That's not what we want.
It's not really encouraging. What about like I guess like a fanny pack. What about like a polo or something, or like I don't know, maybe that's polo.
Type in boring outfit.
Boring outfit. Yeah. Let's see if there's a good.
It depends on the context.
What? Okay, sorry, I'm getting teddy bears. Okay, I'll look at. I also have Google Images open too, so we can check that out. Boring outfit. Let's see. What's boring outfit? Images give us. Fascinating. Okay, I'm getting how we shouldn't be wearing boring outfits, but what they're suggesting is like a plain T-shirt and jeans.
We want something that is a little like. I don't want to
a plain outfit or something, maybe like plain outfit. How about okay? And I can here's like a model or something. I can eliminate this individual's face from this too, but like here's like a model's outfit, something like this.
But no, instead of a person, like just like
just the
button
outfit.
a button down, like Google like button down shirt, like just a
button down and
button down shirt and like some khaki, like I know. Because John hates pleated pants, so in John's honor, like some pleated khakis.
Yeah.
Ooh. What about this?
Some gender neutral pleated
Dockers.
What about like this?
Yeah.
It's good, but that's a little gendered. Let's make it a little more gender neutral.
Gender neutral, okay.
Mother, there's a male ghost wearing that.
Yeah.
Gender neutral khakis, and how about like an REI like a REI shirt and pants? Maybe that would be like.
Oh yeah.
I think that, but I don't want to get like the adventure safari like that.
No, I know.
I want just the idea of like you're just wearing something really bland.
I got it. I got you. How about I won't even make. There's even one that doesn't say REI on it. Well, barely. You won't be able to tell. How about this? Shirt.
Shirt
maybe
and pants.
And then pants.
What are you wearing? Shirt, pants? A shirt and pants?
I'm wearing shirt and pants.
Pleated pants?
Pleated just in honor of John.
Pleated dockers, yeah.
Pleated dockers. John hates dockers with a passion.
Good.
That's just in honor of John.
Sorry, John. Okay, this is pretty.
He would have a button-down shirt and not a t-shirt, but you know.
Yeah, I can also put that there too. How about like like that? I can get rid of the background and I can I can do some fancy stuff with this too.
Yeah.
Something like this.
It's just called outfit.
Outfit. Yeah.
An outfit.
This is a pretty you know,
Hey,
I've seen people wear this outfit
You're
before.
cooking. You're cooking right there.
I've seen this outfit before. Could do like a okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
okay.
he's like,
That's an outfit.
I think that's
Yeah.
good, but I think when you, I
I'll
would
do
search a
button-down.
button-down shirt. I feel like it needs to be buttoned
Yeah.
down. Like,
Well, I
Like a
can put.
gray
I will make this the
button-down.
undershirt.
Oxford shirt.
Yeah.
Like our generation, like a light blue Oxford shirt would be our generation of like.
Okay, I see this. Give me. Oh my gosh, give me like a cool one. What if? I'm seeing a
cool
Newport.
one, no.
shirt. No, I mean. Well, sorry. I mean, a good image. How about? Here's like a white one. How about?
White's fine.
Is that
White's
fine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Okay.
I think that's better than the t-shirt.
Okay, I'll get rid of t-shirt. You can have. Yeah, this is an outfit.
Yeah. No, that's an outfit, and it doesn't get more blind than that. Right. So
Pretty-
obviously,
pretty inoffensive.
what about one of those little notebooks, the Field Note brand notebooks? See if you can
Yeah.
get an
Oh,
image.
yes. Yeah. Let's see. So we've got. I mean, I could just do like. There's a lot of different ones. So you want a specific brand?
There's one. The brand is called Field Notes.
Field notes, yeah.
Okay. Let's see if they have like a. Sorry. I mean, there's like this. I'll find the brand Field Notes.
There's one that says on the cover Field Note.
Yeah.
You can have it closed.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, this is good. How about? Oh, this is a cute picture. Okay. How about like this?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Perf.
This is looking pretty good. Okay.
And then camera.
Yes, camera. Digital
I think
camera.
nowadays,
any kind of
just
camera.
And mostly people use phones now, but yeah, do a camera. You got to do a camera and an audio recorder.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh my gosh, I typed in camera fieldwork and I did not get. I got really too fancy cameras. Yeah, I was thinking just like DSLR or something. Here's like
Can
a.
you find a picture of like some goofy person looking in a camera?
I
Make the meme more interesting than if we just
I
have
could. Let me see. Camera. How about I've got like oh, here's a cool one. I mean, this is kind of like a sunset picture. Maybe this is too. What do you think of that? Is that good? Or there's also
Well, no, because you wouldn't be taking a picture of the
it's
water.
sunset. Yeah, like you
You're
get a picture.
posing
How
there,
about
yeah.
yeah?
Google image
Photographer.
like camera festival and Google image.
Yeah, something like that. How about this?
But somebody wants you to turn around the pants so that you see the pleats.
I don't know how to turn them around.
Daisy is like having
we
a
go.
problem with finding like uncool pants on purpose, and they could.
I'm
they
like
just
having a
couldn't do it.
problem.
They just couldn't do it. It was
That's good.
funny.
Yeah, this was pretty good. Oh, I
It's
can
good
move around.
because it's like that. I like that because it contrasts with the
Yeah,
you're doing field work in a nightclub, but you're wearing your. It's perfect. You're wearing
You're
your
wearing
really,
this outfit.
your pleated khakis with your field note, but you're like
I'm into
this
it.
like really.
That's
hip
kinda real.
spot. That's like
Yeah.
the story of my life. Okay, this is like getting really personal.
It's
That's so
working so
funny.
far.
You're like breathing and
I have a funny story that with the drink and snack is when I
okay.
was teaching at Oregon. I when I was doing the project with the vets,
Mm-hmm.
started off by going with a student, male graduate student, to Colorado Springs for 2 weeks because I thought my project was going to be on dance. and Colorado Springs was all the military bases.
Yeah.
So we went
Mhm.
every single day to dance clubs and bars in downtown Colorado Spring. This poor male student and I, like, we had to go to bars every night, and we had to bar hop, and so we'd have to like drink at every bar. So we would take turns. Like one of us would get a drink, and one would get a Coke, and like, anyway, so it was really funny because a martini would be kind of perfect for that, but that was very specific. You don't
That
want
was
to
very
be drinking
specific. Yeah.
martinis, but it was really funny. Okay, but drink, snack, you're doing field work. Well, you have to have a bag of peanuts.
Yes.
In case
Mm.
you need protein, you're out there and you didn't have
Yes.
time to get a meal, and you're going to the bathroom and you're just trying to get fat food really quickly. So yeah,
Yep.
some nut clusters is
Just a
perfect.
Oh, here we go. Here's all. Here's
Yeah,
would,
just a
do you
bowl
have a
of
preference?
peanuts.
Just
Yeah.
a bowl of peanuts is
Been
good.
there.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. Okay. Yeah. Any other? I mean, I want. I mean, a water
Oh,
water
huge thing of
bottle.
water. Yeah, definitely a
Giant
water
water.
bottle. Ideally, the water bottle would have, the folklore sticker on it, but,
Yeah.
might not be
I
able
could.
to conjure that up.
Oh. What do you? Is there a specific folklore sticker? I could make that.
I don't know.
happen.
Everybody in our family has ones from the
It's like a really big
UO
one.
program, but we won't
I
be
think
able
I could do that.
It's like the table of elements. If
Yeah.
you look at the website, the folklore
Yeah.
program created
I
this.
think. Yes, I still have mine. I had a bunch of them for a while. Oh my gosh, it's on the website. You think?
I'm trying to show it to you, but I guess you can't
I can see.
see my. Oh, there.
Uh,
It's delayed time.
I'll find it.
It's not. It's weird because the camera is delayed, so I couldn't tell what I was showing you. Sorry.
They're delayed to Twitch.
The people on Twitch will see it.
Okay.
It will just be slightly delayed. I'm gonna find that sticker. It won't. I don't need to find it right this second, but I think I can find that sticker. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then of course you need a list of really nosy questions.
Oh,
Tell me all about your. Please tell me all about your life. No, I don't.
how we could do like for what if we make the quote like
Please tell me all about your life.
Well, in the book, the quote in the book, or it is just say yes. That's
Oh.
oh
Just say yes. That is good. That is good advice.
okay. I do think that's good.
Then we need to explain the breathing. So like relax, breathe. We're going to like you, or something like that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I can do that here. Hold on. Like relax. There. Relax. Breathe. They're going to like you. Make it look. It doesn't have to look like this. That's the other thing we can do is we can edit all of these. Like I can make the font look a little different and things like that if we want. Something like that. And then I can yeah. What if I do this but have it be like what? Something like that.
What about, I feel like when I'm trying to think of some things that are funny. One thing is when you do field work is you always get exhausted, right? Because you have to just keep going even if it's beyond what you want to do. But
Yup.
Yeah. Oh, what if we put like take a nap or something or like
You just put the sleepy time tea bear.
sleep. Oh my gosh. Yeah, sleepy time tea bear.
That's me.
What do you think? Is that good, Lisa?
I like
How many
that.
hotel rooms I've fallen asleep in at 8 o'clock?
Yeah. Let me see.
You could also put a picture of a grungy hotel room, right? Because
Oh,
we're always on a
actually,
budget.
That's pretty good.
Actually,
That's
yeah,
Hotel
yeah.
6 or
A Baymont,
Yeah.
a Baymont Suites or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This bear is so cute.
Yeah, a Days Inn. I like a Days Inn.
You get back home and you're just like, I can barely move. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Oh.
made tea and I don't even have the energy to drink it.
Yep.
I gotta do
It's
some
perfect.
something fancy real quick. The nose is trying to get taken away. This look, I can't have no nose. Okay, there we
Aw.
go. That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't even let me have a nose.
Yeah.
That shouldn't
I'm
be.
gonna
That
make the
shouldn't be
water
top,
bottle
but he should
really
be over
big.
there. He should be in the corner.
Yeah, I'll
The
put
water
him
bottle
somewhere.
should be really big.
Yeah, I'm trying to make the water bottle like extra big.
Bigger than you think.
This can also be like a part of the background. Like it doesn't
Oh
have
yeah,
to
I
be
like that.
like.
That'll make it a lot. That'll yeah.
Yeah, that's. I wonder if we can like. I can make it. I don't know. However, I can make it a bunch of different ways.
Maybe, yeah,
but
make it
maybe,
that
like,
big, and then make the rest of the background like reddish.
That's what. Yeah, because that's another thing I can. Let's see. What can we? What do I want? I can make it dark, so it kind of fits in. Oh, it's too dark, huh? No. We want.
Like the red on her face. The red on her face.
Yeah, like that. Oh, sorry.
it's
I
a little
just
too bright.
red is a little too bright. Well, we can keep workshopping that, but to try to give you a sense of that, we can keep workshopping what this color is. I need to like tone it down for my eyes. How about that? For now. I can make the background like, or like the hotel room like.
Yeah,
There's like a good
grimy hotel room.
I'm gonna try to do it.
I'm the number one customer of the Quality Inn chain in Florida.
Oh my god, I found a pretty funny one. How about that?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
perfect.
That's pretty good.
That's it.
Why I stayed in that room. How did you?
Yeah, me too. I think I'm gonna be there on Thursday. Weirdly enough.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll lock that one. I'm gonna group those. Oops. Stop. Who did I locked someone that didn't. Lock. Okay. These two could be like part of the. I don't know. I'm trying to like. How can we? Maybe this can be like in the background. Like.
Yeah, maybe the bedroom is in the background rather.
That's
than
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can. Oh, I think I can unlock this, and we can like. This is like where you hope to end up. This is there. Relax and breathe. You're gonna. That's pretty funny. Sleepy Bear can be like over here, probably. Oh, we can
Can
move.
you put the sleepy bear in the bedroom, like kind of?
Yeah,
in the corner,
exactly.
facing the wall?
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
Facing, not in the bed, but just like in this random chair facing the wall.
That's
Yes.
me. That's
Oh
how
my
I
god.
fall
Oh my
asleep.
god. Oh my god. Yes.
You know
Those
what? You know what?
two
You know what I am bringing to the folk festival this weekend? An electric espresso maker to counteract the sleepy
pretty good.
bear. And I'm just gonna tell all the artists, if you want espresso, come to my room before 8 o'clock.
That's pretty funny. Okay, we can put those behind. Okay. All right, this is coming together. So some other suggestions. I mean, I can move these, and they can be like this can be really big.
Make it-
and
yeah,
I
make
can
it, like,
make it a
white or
different
something,
font
yeah.
or something. Yeah, like we can. What kind of font do you think is a good?
Oh, I'm not good
Ooh.
with fonts.
How about one that's like? I was kind of thinking something like handwriting.
Oh yeah,
You know, like I was
yeah,
sort
like
of
field
thinking like
notes.
yeah, like something that could kind of be. You know, it doesn't need to be. I'm trying to see if there's like a good one that feels like is that like getting there.
That's
Second
better.
handwriting. That's pretty good. What's this one called? Bakerie.
Wait, how do you spell it?
Bakerie. It's bakery.
Baccarat.
Baccarat. I don't know.
Deutsch.
Deutsch. Yeah, something like that.
Baccarat.
Okay, something like that. And then this could I can
The bedroom
do...
needs to be smaller because I feel like it makes it seem like field work is just lying in bed. But
Oh, that's fair.
yeah.
Put it over here.
It should also,
Yeah.
in my
There.
experience, the biggest thing should just be, as you can maybe see from my face, just the sun.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, listen.
How about-
Just
Oh.
listen.
Oh
Instead of just
yeah.
say yes, say just listen. Stop and listen. Stop talking.
Uh,
Listen.
Yes.
Stop
You don't want to be on your own
talking
recording. That's so
and
embarrassing.
listen. Yeah, stop talking and listen.
Stop
That's pretty.
talking, comma, listen.
Got you.
Or stop and listen.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's very good. Okay, I also got looking at how about some.
Like a book or an album? Is that
I'm,
where
I'm,
we're
lo-
at?
I'm looking at like a task cam recorder. I don't think we got like we didn't put one of these guys in there.
Yeah, that's
This
good.
guy's probably got to be in here
The
somewhere.
icon.
Yeah, the icon. Field notes can be here. Outfit. What do you think? This has got to be like above everything else.
It's looking good.
At the top. It's like this is coming together. This is definitely coming together. I can make this. Yeah. So we have like book cover, album art, or kind of some suggestions. I could put like this. There's the field notes piece. There's.
I think that I wonder if we could do something else with
Yeah.
food too, like because there's the peanuts that you're eating, but then there's also like random food that you just have to eat because you're being served it.
Yep.
Don't
Yeah.
wanna
True.
Make assumptions about what random food is. Like, how about a Jello mold? I mean, I don't want to be making fun of anybody's.
Well, I see what you
childhood,
mean.
so
I'm trying to think.
maybe not.
Like. Oh wait, I got an idea. Dom, remember how we made that meme of the Foodways meme of the guy who's like behind the tree? Who is it? It's not Shaq. Is it literally Shaq behind the tree?
No.
Who is that? Who is that? It's
The
not. Who-
guy
sorry.
behind the tree. Guy behind the tree. Wait, I can look up what that's called.
I'm just gonna go to our meme
No, I
stash
got it,
and
I got
see
it.
if this would be. Oh, you got
His
it.
name is
He's just like the hot wife
Anthony
guy, right?
Spice Adams.
Oh yeah, that's who it is. It's Anthony
Yeah.
Spice Adams. Is this anything? Should this be here? Is this Sumeta meme within a meme, and then I can have it be like behind the. No. Yes.
I'm sure.
Does that get across what you're kind of going for?
At this point, sure.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
sure what I'm going for anymore.
This is good. Whatever this is really coming together for me. So.
I think
like I
think
see
we
it.
got it.
Like
I think we
I
got
think this
it.
is good. I think we could do like this, and this could maybe be like. No, I don't
No,
really-
I liked
okay.
where it was.
You're
I
just
liked where it
getting
was.
too
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah,
You
I
had
put it
you had
back. I'm trying to make some room for the pants, this outfit, and then
room for the pants.
a room for the pants. Oops. I need like it could be a little bit bigger, but I think it needs to be like behind the pants. You know. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I think. I mean, yeah.
Get rid of this.
Get rid
Get
of
rid
this.
of
But I
that.
think we got it.
You think we got it? Okay. The only other thing I think would be great to add. I mean, maybe I'll find that sticker, but Lisa, I think we need a copy of your book.
Oh yeah.
Is that cool?
I
got it.
was gonna say like the Library of Congress fieldwork guide, but if you want some,
I mean, that
fresh
could
to the
be good
book,
too.
I know a better one.
What about this? I think we need a copy of that while we're.
right? As
put
long
it-
as it wasn't my idea.
No, I think we.
All
I think
Daisy.
we would love to. Yeah.
No,
I think
wait,
we
could
would-
that be the sticker on the bottle? Could you move it down so it
Oh.
looks like a
Yeah.
sticker?
Yeah, we can.
I could totally make it a sticker on the bottle.
There we go.
There
Oh,
we
I could
go.
even. I could do like how about like that, and then let me see if I can. I really want to find that folklore like.
Let me see if I can find. I don't
Yeah.
know. How to try to find it.
It's. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like blue. It's. The folklore one is blue or whatever.
Because they made us redo our websites with that. thing, and
Yeah.
now they changed it. Apparently, didn't like that brand
Huh.
after all.
Huh.
Let me see.
Like I typed like element. I mean, I have like. Oh, I wonder if I can look at the photos on the University of Oregon Folklore Program Facebook page. I'm going
You're
deep
going
for
a
this
little
one.
too
I'm
deep.
diving.
You're going a little
I'm gonna
too deep.
oh, I found it.
I
Oh my
think
god, I
we-
found
I
it.
think
You
we're
got it?
giving
You got
up.
it?
I actually found it.
Did not.
I so did. It's not blue, but
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, this is the image.
Job.
That's
Hell
so
yeah.
funny. There we go. Those are our
Perfect.
stickers.
Okay.
Our stickers on
kinda
our
made it,
bottle.
I think.
That's pretty good. Oops. I'll make a bigger bottle.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
scoot it.
peanuts can go closer to the relax, breathe, and because it's also the peanuts. I feel like are part of just sort. The water
Fueling
bottle can
yourself.
just stand on its own because it should be and then the
Yeah.
peanuts are
Fueling yourself over here.
yeah, breathing and you're like
Yeah.
chomping down on peanuts and you're
Yeah, and this I can what if I make it a little smaller and then I think I can make I think I can do something fun with the background. Like I could make it let's see. No, that's too big. That's too weird. Is that too weird? That's too weird.
Yeah.
What about like is that I can make it a different color. I can change the opacity.
that works.
Like
works.
That works.
if I make it like that and then I can change the opacity a little bit. So you can read it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or maybe I could make the background color. I could make the background color like a piece of like notebook paper.
No,
Or
I
something
like,
like
I like this.
You like this more? Okay, like you don't think like lighter? Like I could make it like
I thought you meant the whole background color.
the same background color? Okay. And let's see if I can like
Don't
Make
forget
this-
that you have a flight to catch in a few hours.
That's what I'm saying, Daisy.
No,
In a
oh, that's
few
what you're saying.
hours.
Oh, I'm having so much fun creating with you, though. This is what gets me stuck.
I think. Can you put the Tascam in the like
Up
in the
corner
red
here.
box in the box?
Like in
yeah.
here. Yeah, or I can also like have it like be like we're recording the
There you go.
the show
Oh yeah.
or whatever.
That's good.
That's pretty good. Can move that a little more. This is pretty good. I do like this.
And just move the field note like to the
You think?
corner
Up here?
little.
Oh no, you.
Yeah, just so that there's too much going on the left side, and yeah, that's
Yeah, I was thinking like on the bed, like
Yeah.
you leave your
On the bed,
notebook on
that's
the bed
totally
or
it.
something, or like yeah,
I think a little
something
bit
like that.
bigger. Make it a little bit bigger, but
A
on
little
the bed.
bigger, people can see, but like yeah,
There we go.
There you
yeah,
go.
I like that.
a little sleepy bear. Yeah, I'll cover up the chair. Yeah,
Sleepy
okay.
bear could be a
Okay.
little bigger.
Hell
Think-
yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Bigger sleepy bear.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Okay, I mean, I think this
We're
looks
done.
pretty good. Look at
I
this
think it
art.
looks
I think
great.
this looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is a pretty good one.
think
I
you
could even-
cooked.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I'm literally doing field work.
Yeah, I'm really doing field work this time, guys. I'm really doing field work. I'm just see like now I'm getting even see this is why these are so much fun. I'm like, oh look at us, we're creating. Look at what if I just okay. And the little bear's gotta go above the pants. All right, here we go.
We'll post
Okay.
this on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll post this on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
So
Make it a little bigger. Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Something like that. Yeah, this is very good. This is inspired by you.
like
Thank
it.
you for helping us create this beautiful piece of artwork. I love it very much. Lisa, thank you for being with us tonight on Folkwise for probably too long,
Daisy,
but also
It was a
really
Daisy,
lot
fun.
have
of
the
fun.
screen share
Thanks
so I
for
can put
having me.
so I can put Lisa's face back on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This was incredible. I feel like blessed. I feel like I've come full circle, like being able to get to interview on our show. Like this is just if we're as chaotic as we started the stream, it really ended up somewhere really fun. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It
Incredible.
was really fun. And
Yes.
for everybody in the chat. And
Yes.
it's fun that you're doing this. I appreciate all of your efforts and the sleuths behind the scenes. And
Yes, thank you, sleuths.
all right. I
Well,
hope
there's
everybody has
one
a
last thing.
fantastic night.
There's one
there's
last
one
thing we
last-
got to say though.
Final,
one last thing we
final
got to say.
thing.
Final thing, and that is for everyone who's a subscriber. Ladders in chat.
Ladders
for
in chat.
Lisa. Ladders in chat for Lisa, everyone. You've
If you
done
don't
it.
have
You've
ladders-
officially done it.
If you
If
don't have ladders,
buy a sub right now. I
GGs.
know you want to post ladders.
I know you want to post the ladders.
I
Self us
know
make a
you want to
giant
post
ladder.
ladders.
This is our like chat folklore for good job. Everything is ladders. It's
Everything
an
is
exciting
ladders.
inside joke, and we like to make giant ladders together when we post on Folkwise to show support for you. So thank you. Yes.
Thank you.